Welcome back to the Wolf of Queen Street podcast series. Welcome back to the audio podcast or the video series if you're joining us today. Today I'm joined by Nathan Hirsch, who is the founder of FreeUp, the co-founder of the Outsource School, and fundamentally a game changer in the world of virtual assistants or having a business set up, having remote staff, and costing you the least amount of money to run a full team. Now, to most business owners, some will be fully aware of these solutions that are out there. Some of us won't be aware at all. And that's why I thought Nathan would be an amazing person to talk to, especially at the moment of turmoil and uncertainty in the world of how businesses can continue to run with losing a lot of their staff due to having to shut down, but not realizing that there's a virtual world that you can still have a team run your business for you from the other side of the world. But welcome to the show, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
So as I said before, Nathan, yourself, you have got obviously a founder of FreeUp, which was then sold. You took it from $5,000 a year to over $12 million a year as a service, which is fundamentally encased virtual assistants and so forth, as well as running a current business of Outsource School. Now, for our listeners at the moment, like I said, there'll be a portion of people that are well aware of virtual assistants, like myself, because I actually utilize one. But there'll be a lot of people that aren't aware or even realize what the word means and what the service actually encases. Can you take our listeners through sort of the basics of virtual assistants?
Yeah, and I'll start off by saying that if you go back 20 years ago and you owned a business, you had to hire someone in your town or the towns around you. You probably had to hire them full time. And fast forward ahead to now, I mean, you get to access to people all around the world at different price points with different skill sets. You don't even need to have an office. I've been working remote for years. And on top of that, you don't have to hire them full time. You can hire them part time. You can hire them project based. And the way that I like to define it is there's three types of people that you can hire. You can hire followers, doers, or experts. The followers, that's what I consider virtual assistants. $5 to $10 an hour, usually non-US. They can have years of experience, but they're really there to follow your systems, your processes. If you don't have systems and processes in place, you're really going to struggle hiring those followers. And I personally love hiring from the Philippines. I have great relationships with people in the Philippines. The doers are usually your freelancers, the graphic designers, the writers, the video editors. You're not teaching a graphic designer how to be a graphic designer, but they're not consulting with you either. They're doers. They're there to do that one task at a really high level. And then you got the experts. They can be $30 an hour. They can be $1,000 an hour. They're high-level freelancers, coaches, agencies. They're bringing their own strategies to the table, their own systems, their own processes. So depending on where you're at in your business, and all this kind of applies whether you're hiring remote or non-remote, you have to decide whether you're going to hire the follower, the doers, or the experts. You don't want to wake up and say, hey, I don't know how to run Facebook ads. Let's hire someone for $5 an hour and give them a $5,000 budget. Probably not going to work out too well. Just like you wouldn't hire an expert who has their own strategy, who's been doing it for years and had a lot of success, and hire them and say, hey, we're going to do this my way. That doesn't make a lot of sense either. So using those different levels the right way is a big part of hiring. And obviously hiring is a big part of scaling your business.
So a big thing that I totally agree with everything that's said about the different levels of resourcing for a business. And a big thing that a lot of people that I try to explain to about virtual assistants or outsourcing some of the work is that there is people that either in those levels that exist that your business needs. And it also is a massive reduction in cost, but also it's a massive reduction in time on the business as a business owner. So example with my brand and the podcast and everything I do on it, I do everything myself. I have to make my own content. I have to distribute it. I have to do my own audio editing, video editing, and so forth. And it builds up over time So it could be 10 hours or 15 hours a week. So like this week, for example, I'm recording 3 podcasts 3 days in a row. There's 10 to 15 hours in this week alone that I've got to sort out for my time. Now, I could outsource that, or I could get someone locally to try and take on that work. But obviously, when you're working locally, you follow local rules and costs and so forth. So that's where the costs, where a lot of people go, it's too expensive. If I go hire an assistant or video editor, irrespective of the level of the 3 levels that you said, in New Zealand, it's going to cost me at least $20 an hour or $25 an hour because our minimum wage is in the high teens. So just the lowest the quality of skill is going to cost you $17, I think it's $18 or $19 an hour, which is not viable for a small business if you want 10 hours a week.
And can I jump in right there?
Yeah, sure.
Not only is it going to cost you $20 an hour, but how long are they really going to work for $20 an hour? Eventually, you're going to have to increase those prices over time, and it just becomes more and more expensive. And if you hire a VA at $5 an hour and they're a rock star, you can pay them 6 or 10. And I had VAs that I was paying $20 an hour because they were rock stars, but it gives you a lot more flexibility to keep them long term.
I totally agree with that, and it's breaking that mold or breaking that understanding from small business owners or larger business owners not aware about it. That opportunity is there. That opportunity is to look at resources that are overseas that have the skills as with any other business or niche that you're looking into, and they can come in at a lower start point. And it's not that, also need to say, it's not that we're paying them cheap. It's just because of where they're based, the US dollar is worth so much more. And $5 an hour as a start point for a VA is actually a very good hourly rate. I know a lot of them, for example, start at $350 or so forth. And then, as you said, depending on the level, you can upskill it. So therefore, you'll be able to save yourself that time of 10 or 15 hours a week like myself, only costing you maybe $30. But the return of it to your business is so much more worth it.
Yeah, and I'm all about creating win-win relationships with people. And like you said, I mean, a lot of people, they're like, oh, $5 an hour, how could you do that? But the minimum wage in the Philippines is around $12 a day. Not to mention traffic is brutal. A lot of them have large families. They have to leave their families. They get to work from home. They get to make more money. They don't have to sit in traffic. They can have multiple clients and not be being fired away from having to go on unemployment. So they can diversify a little bit. And you don't have to treat them poorly. I had VAs who started off at $3 an hour, and by year 4, as they were a major part of scaling FreeUp, I treated them well. I paid them $20 an hour, and I made it so their rates went up as the business grew. I also took $500,000 from the sale of FreeUp and gave it to our internal team in the Philippines to make sure that they were taken care of. So just because you start someone at a low rate doesn't mean that you can't treat them well, that you can't reward them as your business grows. And I've also seen clients at FreeUp who started off hiring VAs and grew their business and then hired full-time employees in their local country. And so they wouldn't have been able to do that without the VAs. And then they used a combination of the local and the VA. So you can get really flexible with it. And that's kind of the beauty, is you can build your business depending on what makes sense for you.
I love it. Showing that by taking on the virtual assistants, it allows them to grow their business to the point that they can hire full-time staff from the local market. Now let's go back a little bit. As we did say, you built up and you sold off on FreeUp. Can you let our listeners know about what fundamentally was behind FreeUp, what it was, and what it tried to get brought to the customers and the services they provided?
Yeah, and I still recommend FreeUp. I'm actually a client of FreeUp now, which is a little bit weird. But so going back, because you need a little backstory, I was a longtime Amazon seller, and I sold on Amazon for 6-7 years. I sold over $25 million, did a lot of business, but I struggled hiring. I struggled hiring in person. I was young. People didn't really take me seriously. So I went to the remote hiring world out of necessity, and I used the Upworks, I used the Fivers, and I really hated them. I value my time at a very high level. And for me to post a job, get 50 people to apply, interview them one by one, if they quit on me, I have to start all over again. I wanted something better, faster, that had pre-vetting, that had protection. And I kept looking and looking. And when I couldn't find it, I finally said, you know what? I'm going to build this myself. So I took $5,000 and I built this really crummy software that freelancers could clock in and clock out. Clients could view their freelancers on their side, and that was it. That's all the software did. And we had a Rolodex of really good virtual assistants from our Amazon business, and we took them over to FreeUp, and we started offering them up to Amazon sellers. And they loved it. They said that they loved that they could call me, Skype me, email me, say, hey, I need a customer service rep. I need a graphic designer. And boom, I'd say, hey, I already know this person. They're vetted. They're good to go. They can start right away. If anything goes wrong, we have 24/7 support. If they quit on you, we'll cover all replacement costs. So if you train someone for a week and they quit on you in a month, we'll cover the first week of the next person. And people, although they hated our software, loved the people, loved the customer service. We then invested in our software and really became a software company, and eventually ran out of VAs and had to take our hiring process from our Amazon business and really turn it into a recruitment process for FreeUp. So FreeUp is a marketplace for you to get not only the followers, but the doers and the experts as well that are pre-vetted, that you can get access to them quickly. On the back end, 24/7 support and that no turnover protection. And we were fortunate enough that we had a positive reaction when we took it to market.
That's great, yeah. But one thing that's one of the most key points is that they're pre-vetted. So coming in, it gives to a business owner, it gives them their confidence of saying, I've got a list of people right here, and this platform was already pre-vetted. So I know the quality of work, the character of person, and the likelihood of the risk to my business that I take someone on is that they're not necessarily just going to run away or step away, or after a few days quit on the job. Sometimes there's a misalignment between brands and VAs. That does happen. That is the case. But having that platform where you can go into it, because there is existing platforms at the moment where you can look to hire VAs. But a lot of them don't necessarily give you the vetting, don't give you any of that integral part. So you have 1,000 people, and you've got to work through and go, is this guy girl actually who they are? Firstly, do they have the skills? What they say they do, and what support do I have around that as well? So it brings a really good part with the business, that you guys had that vetting process so business owners could feel confident hiring the resources.
Yeah. And I mean, our last year of FreeUp, we were getting about 2,000 applicants a week to get on the platform. And we would let in 1 out of every 100 applicants based on skill, attitude, and communication. Mm-hmm. I'm sure now that they've dumped a lot more money into marketing than we have, they're getting even more applicants than that. So it really is all about the pre-vetting and finding really good people and saving the entrepreneur time, because us as entrepreneurs, we can always make more money. We can never get our time back. So Correct. You have to value that at the highest possible level. And that was something we were really proud of with FreeUp.
Yeah, that's amazing. So with Outsource School, is that a startup that came off of FreeUp, or is it something you ran in parallel?
Yeah, it didn't run in parallel. It wasn't until after the transition. We did a 90-day transition once we sold FreeUp. Mm-hmm. So we had the idea because for the past 4 years, people have been reaching out to me. How do you use VAs to go on podcasts? How do you interview them? And I've gone on podcasts, I've done blog articles, but I've never had a real system for you to follow and shared my SOPs. So Outsource School is a chance for us to do that, to teach people how we use virtual assistants. And it's also a chance for us to stay active in the VA space. I mean, I didn't want to just sell FreeUp and be like, oh, bye VAs, talk to you later. We're donating a percentage of all sales of Outsource School to our favorite charity, Teach for the Philippines, which provides education to Filipino children, whether they want to be VAs or pursue other careers. So we're excited about that. And there's really 2 components of Outsource School. One is courses. We just launched our first course called Cracking the VA Code, which teaches you the exact processes that we use to interview, onboard, train, and manage virtual assistants. And by the end of it, you're going to be able to hire VAs at a very high level and have a good success rate and know how to keep them around. And then actually today, we're launching our second course called the Podcast Outreach Formula, which is I've been on 300 plus podcasts. I wake up every day to a list of podcasts to potentially be on. I have a system for my VA to follow. I do the outreach. I go on the podcast. They do 70% of the work. And I'm going to teach people my exact process that they can follow, because not everyone right now wants to spend a lot of money on ads. And going on podcasts is a great way to get your message out, grow your brand, to network, to do a lot of different things. So, and then the second component is our software. The same developer that built FreeUp is working right now on an SOP building software. I'm sure you've had a pain building SOPs before. They're kind of annoying to build. And we think that this is going to make it super easy for entrepreneurs to work with VAs on SOPs. And we're excited for it to all come together.
Just so to some of our listeners, SOPs.
Standard operating procedures. So listing out the processes that you use in your business. And off of that, I'll kind of give you a little hint. So most SOPs, most people that write SOPs, they understand the middle part. They have to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. We get that. But the part that everyone messes up on the SOPs, and if you take anything away from it today, this is a good one. The top part, put the why your business, why of the task, how does this task impact the actual business? And what is success? What does failure look like? I fired 3 bookkeepers before I hired Marius. I put in, hey, the last 3 bookkeepers didn't work out. This is why. This is what I'm expecting out of you. So before they even get to the steps, they know the big picture. They know why this task is important. They know what they need to do to succeed. Then they go through the steps. And then the bottom part that everyone forgets is the do not do for any reason list, or the important reminders. And let's say I have a VA that's monitoring my inbox. I'll say, hey, if my accountant emails me or my lawyer emails me, don't respond to those emails, or tell them that I'll get back to them. And a lot of people, they'll have 25 steps, and the important stuff is hidden in step 10 and hit step 12. And you want to take all the most important stuff and put it at the bottom. And that alone is going to save you a lot of time and hassle down the line.
Yep, that's a great one. And setting up, and that, you just added into another level, with the assistants is as much as answering emails. I have so many business owners out there that talk to me and say, I get 100 emails an hour, I get 500 emails a day, I get 1,000 emails, and there's no ways of knowing how I can follow up, how I can process it, can respond to it, and so forth. And it's as simple as getting someone in just to go back, like you said, responding back to the email and just going, hey, we'll get back to you in a timely manner, hopefully in the next few hours, and just having that first layer of interaction that shows the business as having a forward step and an end customer going, hey, this person's actually responding to me. They came back to me quite quickly, and I understand that they're busy, and it's so much benefit for a business.
Yeah, so it's funny. My first hire at FreeUp was a VA to monitor my inbox from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And I would wake up at 7 a.m. They would have 95% of the emails done. They'd say, hey, Nate, I left these 3 emails for you. And I would answer those emails, get an hour or two head start to my day, and be good to go. And then my second hire was a bookkeeper. And now with Outsource School, my first hire was actually a bookkeeper, because I'm a firm believer that entrepreneurs are not good at bookkeeping, and you should get someone to do that right from the beginning. And now my second hire, who I just hired yesterday, she started today, is the same thing for me, my inbox, because I need someone to organize my calendar. I need someone to respond to and schedule podcasts and respond to our customers that are buying our courses. So, and just regular emails that I get. So if you're spending all day in your inbox, you're probably not maximizing your time. And us as entrepreneurs, we're so good at adding stuff to our plate. We're so bad at subtracting stuff from our plate. And you have to make that focus of delegating tasks.
I totally agree with that. We're taking on so much all the time is part of what goes through our blood. But like you're saying, it's almost like trying to get blood over a stone, of giving it away or giving it to someone else to do the work, because sometimes you fear that person doesn't have the quality or have the skill or understand your brand, but you don't not realizing it's more detrimental for you to hold on to it because I don't have the skill level. So as much as I don't want to give the video and the audio editing and the brand and producing the content away because I fear they're detrimental to my brand, I'm the worst person at producing my own content. I sit for hours to make a single thumbnail for Instagram because I'm like, is that right? Is it not right? And where someone that is skilled in it, and a graphic designer or content producer, would literally take 2 minutes and go, done. There it is. That's what the marketplace currently requests, and that's what the current marketplace likes. Don't overthink about it. Don't try to put too much of your brand on it. So, but one thing you've mentioned a few times in the sort of last 5 or 10 minutes, and I think a lot of business owners are missing the opportunity in this, and Nathan, this is something big that you play on, is you talk about podcasts. We're obviously fun enough. We are on a podcast right now, and you reached out and come onto it. But what I'm seeing is the business owners and the entrepreneurs that are forward thinking, understanding, is they're trying to get themselves onto as many podcasts as they can, because A, it is a platform to tell their story. B, it's also a platform to get their message heard in different niches that their marketing might not reach as well.
Right. And there's so much more than that. It's good for SEO. It's good for backlinks. It's good for just networking. I'm a big proponent of getting to know people, and I built great relationships with podcast hosts over the years. And it's kind of just one part of my organic marketing playbook that I used for FreeUp. I'm going to bring it over to Outsource School, and I'll kind of give you a run through of that, if that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
So it starts off with an affiliate program or referral program. With FreeUp, one of the best business decisions I made was you get 50 cents for every hour that we bill forever to a client that comes from you. With Outsource School, anyone that wants to be affiliate, outsourceschool.com/affiliates. It's there. It's on the website. I tell everyone about it. I train all my team at the end of every phone call to tell people about it. That's the absolute baseline. From there, I try to network with 3 new entrepreneurs every single day. I'm not pitching them. I'm not selling them. I'm reaching out to them on Facebook and Instagram to set up a networking call. I'm learning about them, their business. I'm telling them a little bit about me. If there's some way for us to work together or some way for me to help them, great, all about it. If not, over time, it's just great meeting other entrepreneurs, and you slowly build that network. Next is putting out content. Anyone that follows me on Facebook or LinkedIn, Nathan Hirsch, I put out content every day on every channel about what you are, about whatever your industry is. Mine is about hiring and using VAs and best practices. And over time, people start to see your content. And as you network with more and more people get in front of your content. Next is partnerships. So with free up, we went after Amazon sellers to start. We started to look at, hey, who's in the space that goes after Amazon sellers but doesn't sell VA and freelancer services? And we went after Amazon software companies, and we tried to partner with them. And we partnered with most of them. And we would do content swaps. They'd promote their software to our community via email or email blast or podcast or YouTube video or blog post, and vice versa. We could guest blog posts for them. They'd blast us to their community, and it went back and forth. And over time, we built up over 100 partnerships that every single quarter we're just promoting free up and vice versa. And then podcasts and micro-influencers, the last one, which we kind of already talked about, getting in front of your audience, networking, backlinks, and then eventually getting micro-influencers to promote you, people that have Facebook groups or people that are coaches or people that have a following on Instagram of your ideal target market. And it all kind of goes together. The networking leads to more podcasts. The podcast leads to better partnerships. And if you solely work on building the foundation, you're going to have a really good organic marketing program. And then anything you do with ads is just bonus on top of that.
And one thing to everyone that's listening at the moment, outside of the influencers, depending on the level that they are, everything that Nathan said before, that whole reaching out on the podcast, the entrepreneurs building their networks, all of that doesn't cost them a thing. There's no cost involved other than his time of reaching out or being on the podcast and so forth. It doesn't cost the business money, and fundamentally it builds a solid foundation of a brand awareness, networking, and as you said, SEOs, depending on what platform you're going on and what you're doing to get your brand up in Google as well. And it's all a big package. And I think a lot of small business owners are forgetting the value in that space and the value of going out, having your say, talking about building the networks. Because fundamentally, it's the same thing like Nathan said, is everyone that I meet through the show, I build through a network circle. So all of a sudden, if I do 50 episodes or 100 episodes or 200 episodes a certain period of time, you've got 200 people additional on your network. If you've got a good relationship with that one person, you don't just have a network with them, you have a network within their team. And it's the same thing that I've said to all my guests, and you can ask any guest that's been on the show before, is I open up my network right behind me to everyone that I have on my show. So fundamentally, Nathan comes in and he gets me, but he also gets any contact I have done in the past. So if he needs any assistance in any of those areas, I can say, I know this person, I know this lady, she can help out in this area. And it just builds it up so much better for the business across both sides of the table.
Yeah, completely agree with everything you just said. And it's not like the VA is going to go and pretend to be me, or the VA is not going to go on the podcast, but the VA can do a lot of that work for me. I can wake up every day to a list of podcasts. I can wake up every day to, hey, here's a list of people that have been on the same podcast that you were on. Why don't you reach out to them and network to them? I can use the VA to organize the partnership, so I don't have to remind myself to reach out every quarter and ask, hey, what do we want to do together? You can use VAs to save you time through all of this. And then if you value your time at the highest level and you're doing the biggest things, building the relationship, the sales, the expansion, the marketing.
Yeah. So to anyone listening at the moment going, Lawrence, Nathan, it sounds brilliant. It sounds amazing, life-changing to business. Why aren't we all doing it? Why does it not seem that simple? And what's the biggest risk to my business? Because people want to go, great, how do I do it? How do I sign on? But hold on, isn't there a risk? I don't see the person contractually. What do I do? What do I go through?
Yeah, so this is my overall mentality on risk. I mean, there's always going to be a risk. There's nothing that me or you or anyone else can do to make that risk zero, right? But I mean, the average virtual assistant, especially if you get them on free up, someplace that's vetting them, they care a lot more about staying on free up. They care a lot more about being a client of yours for years, providing for your family, having a stable job, than they do about jeopardizing or stealing your business in any way. And you can make them sign an NDA, but are you really going to chase them across the Philippines over a piece of paper? Probably not. And there's LastPass and like credit cards and bank accounts. My bookkeeper, I give them view-only access. And there's certain things you can do to protect yourself. But the number one way to really protect yourself is to build a relationship with the people that you work with. There's no substitute for that. I've had people that I fired. I've had people who have quit on me. They didn't want to hurt me. I didn't want to hurt them because I built those relationships. And that's what's really key. And you're absolutely right. A lot of people, what I always say is you wouldn't just market your business for 3 months and then let's say you didn't do well marketing. Oh, marketing's not for me. I'm just not going to market my business anymore. But people do that with hiring. They make some bad hires and they're like, oh, hiring's not for me. Can't do it. I'm just not going to hire anymore. And You can't. I mean, there's very few solo entrepreneurs out there that are doing $1 million, $5 million a year. Hiring is the only way up, and it's a skill set that you have to and can get better at over time. And right now, if your good hiring percentage is in that 40%, I want to help you get it to that 95%. And I know that you can get there by focusing on what you can control, not what you can't control. And what you can control is how you interview people, how you onboard them, how you train them, and how you manage them after you actually train them. And all of that goes into moving that percentage. And none of us are going to get to 100% success rate, but the difference between entrepreneurs that are in that 90 to 100% compared to the ones that are in that 30 to 40% is night and day. It's really the difference between success and failure.
I love that. What are the main challenges would you say would be in the marketplace in that? So outside of, learning the skills, like you said, you've got the guides to go out and the following steps. What are the other challenges you see, not just necessarily out in the outsource school, but in the space overall? Because like I said, a lot of people that aren't aware of it are going to go, give me more information. I need to know a little bit more. Where am I going to see a problem?
Yeah. So I mentioned that there's 4 steps, right? The interviewing, the onboarding, the training, the managing. And most entrepreneurs know that you have to interview someone before you hire them. Most entrepreneurs know that you have to train someone after you hire them. And most entrepreneurs know that on some level, you have to manage them after you hire them. What most people forget is that onboarding. And it really goes hand in hand with being clear and communicating well up front, which a lot of people struggle with. And people that are not great with communication obviously have it much harder when you're in a remote environment. So getting better at communication and clarity is key. And look at it this way. If I interview 3 VAs and I want to hire Jane, and I want to hire Jane at $5 an hour, what the average entrepreneur does is they say, Jane, you're hired at $5 an hour. Let's start training. Yep. And Jane might have read your job post, which is probably vague. She might have asked a few questions during the interview, but she doesn't really know what she's getting into until then, and that could lead to a lot of issues. So during that onboarding process, what I teach people to do is, Jane, that was a great interview. I want to hire you at $5 an hour. Let's first make sure you're good with $5 an hour. If you're not, let's talk about it. Then let's go through what I call my SICK method, SICC. Let's talk about schedule. Let's make sure the schedule works for you. What other clients do you have? Do those clients overlap with my schedule? Are you working 100 hours a week or are you working 20 hours a week? I want to know all these things. Then issues. Let's talk about the different issues. Do you have a working computer? Do you have a backup? Do you have strong internet? How often do you lose internet? Do you have a backup if you lose internet? Similar with power. If you lose power, do you have a friend's house you can go to? Do you have a backup generator? Personal issues. I set the expectation that you can't be one personal issue away from not being able to work for months. You have to be able to handle your issues within reason. I'm a reasonable person, take the day off or whatever, but it shouldn't drag on weeks. And lastly is weather. Are you in a rural area or are you in a city? How often does weather affect work? So we get on the same page there. Yep. Then we talk about communication, because the way that I like communicating, which is email, Slack, Viber, probably different than the way that you like communicating and probably different from her other clients. So let's get on the same page. There might be a way that maybe I like using Time Doctor. I like using the app and they hate that. And I don't want them to find out that we use that when we start training. And then lastly, culture, making sure we have the same values, the same beliefs, the same want to create a family and work with other people and that we're in line there. And once we've gone through all of it and really throughout all of it, I give them a chance to back out. But especially at the end, I make sure that they really want it. I give them a chance to back out. I let them know it's no problem if they do. I'd much rather they back out now before we start investing time, energy, and money into them. And this is a 10 to 30 minute conversation. And that 30 minutes is going to save you hundreds of hours, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars down the line instead of hiring someone that's not on the same page with your expectations.
I love that. I mean, anyone listening at the moment, think of the last time you hired. Think of, did you even go through that process in that depth? I can't remember the last time that I've taken on a contract that I went in that depth with those key areas to make sure there was so much alignment. Fundamentally, most of the times people go into it going, hey, either I need the job or it's the next job. B, it pays me what I'm asking for and it's within my niche. And then the rest of it, I'll figure it out. And then people wonder why in their personal life, well, there's no job satisfaction. Why they don't feel motivated within their job. They don't feel driven within their job. If you yourself go through that process and you're getting stuck, then why would you do the same process for the people that you're trying to hire to try promote your business and improve your business? Because fundamentally, depending on what role the people have, They sometimes are the actual front of your business. And the first person that when someone reaches out, they need to be able to present a full, strong presentation of what you guys are offering to the marketplace. So a lot of things like with my social brand and so forth is where I've got my VA assisting me. So any interaction or a lot in that space is where I've got to make sure that they're at their strength, so that there's no harm to the brand when someone comes out and they actually know how to respond and so forth. Because you don't want to have it that a big customer or big influencer reaches out and goes, "Hey, Lawrence, I love the program. I'd love to do a sponsorship with you," or "I'd love to be on the show." And the person comes back and has no idea what to do or how to respond to it.
Right. I completely agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, that's great. So, it's at the end of the day, you've got a service that's providing resources for business owners to take them to the next level. Outside of that package's own, is there anything else you think that business owners now should consider or look into? Is there something else that's on the pipeline? You've been an entrepreneur. I can imagine your brain never switches off as well, just like mine. There must be another part of the package, or there must be something else you're thinking on that's coming forward in the Outsource School, or another part of the brand, or a new brand.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like for 4 years, I just focused on Free Up, and now I'm just focused on Outsource School. I tend to work better when I'm trying to grow one business, and who knows? I mean, like you said, I'm an entrepreneur. Ideas are always coming up, but for me, it's how do we make this platform awesome for everyone? I'm really only interested in win-win-wins. I don't want someone to buy the course, and if they hate it, I'm just going to refund them. I mean, I have no interest in taking people's money. I want to provide actual value that helps people scale the business, because it took me years to figure out how to hire virtual assistants. And I wish someone had came to me and said, "Hey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong." And that would have saved me a lot of time and a lot of money. And I just encourage people to not give up. It's going to get better over time. It's one of those things that when you're making bad hires, it's frustrating. You never want to do it again. But when you make that one good hire, it's addicting. You're like, this is incredible. My life's easier. How do I do this more? And I want to get more people into that addiction of hiring virtual assistants, because once you realize that you can delegate and you can trust someone and they're reliable, it opens up this whole avenue of you thinking, man, I can really scale this thing. I can really grow this business.
Yep. So for Outsource School, what's the entry point? What's the point for the customer or someone that's listening at the moment going, I know a good few friends, they've been chasing me going, "Hey, I need to know more about VAs. I need to know more about VAs." They'll go to Outsource School website, I guess. And then what's the process from there on the service?
Yeah, so you can join the newsletter for free. We send a lot of tips, a lot of information on using virtual assistants. We have this VA calculator. If you go to outsourceschool.com/VA calculator, you can download it for free. It shows you how many VAs you can afford right now, which is really the step that you should take before you do any of the other stuff. You want to know what your budget is. And then all of our courses and software have different prices. Cracking the VA code is $997. That's going to teach you the full blown, whether you've never hired a VA before, or you've struggled to hire, that's going to teach you everything start to finish. The podcast outreach formula is going to be $247, and we're going to launch different things at different prices, and our software is not out yet. So join the newsletter. You'll get up to date on different things, and we're always running different deals and promotions to help people out.
No, I love it. And I think to anyone else, and Nathan, like I said, I've got a few friends straight away that comes on top of my head that's been chasing me to make video content. They're like, "Lawrence, tell me the process, set it up." And I'm like, "No, I can tell you my process. I've gone through it 3 times. I'm novice in that section and what I've learned." And obviously, Nathan, yourself and what you've been through is Free Up and Outsource School. You've got a vast more experience. And I'll definitely, once we release the episode, direct them to you and say, "Hey, go have a look at Outsource School, look at Free Up, see what it is." And that's the platforms to be utilizing to hire the VAs and getting the content and the stories to learn from. And knowing that it's trustworthy, it's cost effective, and it will change your business pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone wants help, whether it has to do with outsourcing or anything else, feel free to reach out to me. I'm one of the easiest entrepreneurs to contact. Nathan Hirsch on Facebook and LinkedIn, the real Nate Hirsch on Instagram and Twitter. And if I can help you, especially during these tough times in any way, just let me know.
Nathan's so rehearsed on that and dropping his handles. I don't even have to ask the man to give it all out and all the rest. But at the end of the day, to everyone else, I think it's been it's 35 minutes, great short and sharp episode today about looking at hiring virtual assistants, looking at taking your business to the next level by freeing up your own time to focus on what is important. Sometimes a lot of business owners struggle is we've got to spend a little bit of money to make more money. And it doesn't necessarily mean just to drive revenue up, but it's to grow the business that in 12 or 18 months is at the level we need to be. And sometimes that means you've got to give away some of the tasks that you hold on you today. You don't have to respond to every single email. You don't have to respond to every single DM that you get or managing all of that. You don't have to produce all your own content. Your SOPs don't have to be developed for you. You don't have to do your own websites either. All of those skills can be outsourced and can be paid for the right level of skill level to someone virtually to do it for you. So you can be sitting and doing this sort of stuff, what Nathan's doing at the moment, get on the podcasts, getting out there and talking business deals with other business owners and worrying about, I've still got 10 hours or 20 hours of admin tasks today. And that's the sort of stuff you shouldn't worry about. Before we end off the episode today, Nathan, is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Just remember to diversify when you're hiring. I mean, I had a situation where I hired one person and taught them to do my whole business. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs kind of fall into that trap where you make a few bad hires and you finally find someone you like. So you just load that person up with everything. And you don't realize how risky that really makes your business. If they quit on you, it can set you back months. That's what happened to me with my Amazon business. So you don't have to go crazy and hire 3 customer service reps to answer 3 emails a day. Yep. But instead of hiring 2 people for 40 hours a week, or 1 person for 40 hours a week, maybe hire 2 for 20. Have 1 person for customer service, 1 person for bookkeeping, and really spread it out. So if someone quits, it's not as hard to replace.
Yep. So in other words, don't make any single points of failure for your business.
Exactly.
Yep. That's great. I love that, Nathan. And to everyone else, Nathan's really good in the handles. If you're thinking about it, you're looking into it, just do the research, go over to the websites, see what they're offering, sign up to the newsletter. And like I said, I've been with the VA for the last 4 months, and it's been highly beneficial to my brand and what I'm trying to achieve. And I'm only utilizing the VA for 10 hours a week. And even in that small scale at the moment, the benefit to my business is amazing. And I recommend it to anyone else that's hired. And it also means you providing a job to someone that needs it and someone that is motivated. But at the end of the day, to everyone that is listening today and everyone that is watching today, in the world of uncertainty at the moment, unfortunately, we are in, and to most places that are confined to their home somewhere else in the world because we can't move around, please stay safe. Please stay indoors. Please look after each other. And at the end of the day, reach out, make sure everyone's okay, make sure everyone has the support they need. And if anyone is struggling at this moment, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm happy to get on a call, a Zoom call, a Skype call, whichever you want to, just to make sure that we're safe during this time. But at the end of the day, thank you, Nathan, for coming on the show today. And to everyone else, may you have a great and beautiful and powerful day.
Thanks for having me.